Hi, my name is Jenna, and I live in a quiet little town in the United States, about 3 hours away from the nearest big city. My mother left me when I was 5 years old. She never showed me much affection. She got pregnant at an inopportune time. She was still a young woman aspiring to so many things, dreaming of a life full of adventures and feeling wrong that a single mistake had changed the course of her life. Even without much love, she raised me in her own way, certainly fearing the social judgment she would face if she were one of those mothers who abandon their children. Reputation was something she valued very much, and it was one of her greatest fears. Of course, she never verbalized this to me, but it was a conclusion I drew over the time we lived together. I have a talent for perceiving nuances, something my father always recognized in me. My father, a man with a huge heart, always took care of me with dedication. He was the kind of guy who buried himself in work to keep his sanity, especially after my mother left. I remember him coming home exhausted from construction projects that never lasted less than 9 months. By the time one was finished, he was already busy with another. He earns a fair wage and loves to spoil me, treating me like a real princess. So I live a comfortable and fulfilling life in this small town. Here, the local stationery store is a refuge for many, and I ended up staying there, dealing with the quirky owner and her grumpy husband. But because I know how to work around complicated personalities, I have kept my job for years. I have no fear of losing my job. If it weren't for this job, the supermarket would be my second choice, a place where all recent graduates end up. It was a place where I could socialize with my friends, and the work was not heavy, allowing me to balance my household chores well. My father has always been a tireless worker, and this gave him a certain peace and a constant smile. He was always busy, whether building or renovating, and this kept him away from dark thoughts about the mother who left us. At first, he sought comfort in alcohol to forget the pain of her absence. After all, she was a stunningly beautiful woman. He nurtured the hope that, in time, she would miss me, but my grandmother's advice and the passing of time helped him to recover, making him a more reserved man, but still devoted to me, assuring me that I would never be alone. As I grew older, our physical resemblance became more evident, and this caused me a strange irritation. My father, on the other hand, seemed to delight in this, always spoiling me, which resulted in an extremely close relationship. I slept next to him for many years, seeking the calm that his presence provided me, and there were times when I heard him sobbing softly, trying to hide his emotions. During my adolescence, I developed a feeling of resentment towards my mother, but today that feeling has faded. After finishing high school, my ambition to explore the world faded, and I focused solely on work. The stationery store was a convenient place, with a predictable routine and no major challenges. The owner was an eccentric lady and her husband a grumpy old man, but I adapted well to the environment. The monotony of work allowed me to reflect on my life, on the choices I had made and the ones I had left behind. The stationery store, with its smell of paper and ink, became a refuge where I could lose myself in thought, far from the expectations and pressures of the outside world. My father and I shared everything. Our relationship was one of crystal honesty. He was never a man of many restrictions, and that included our open communication on many topics. We were not religious, which, in a way, allowed us to think and act without the constraints of traditional moral judgments. I indulged in daydreams, wondering about the limits of love and connection between us. There was a freedom in our relationship that I couldn't find anywhere else, a freedom that allowed me to explore feelings and thoughts that would otherwise have remained hidden. One Saturday after lunch, with the house clean and cozy, I was lounging on his lap, watching a random movie on TV. I began to move in ways that I knew were provocative, and my voice dropped to a melodious whisper. I was playing a game of self-stimulation, and the tension in the air was palpable. My father, though trying to maintain his composure, could not ignore the changes in his daughter's behavior. There was an energy between us, an energy that I could not ignore, and that seemed to grow with every movement, with every glance we exchanged. I manipulated the situation subtly, moving closer to him, and he, in turn, seemed increasingly mesmerized. The closeness was an invitation, and I was determined to accept it. My hand was moving along his knee, and I could feel the energy in the room shift. His breathing was getting deeper, and I knew I had captured his attention. There was a mix of fear and excitement in me, a feeling that we were about to cross a line we had never crossed before. The movements I made were calculated, and I could feel his body reacting beneath the light fabric of his underwear. He was fighting his instincts, but the daughter who had always been obedient and affectionate now showed a new side. I was a young woman who understood unspoken desires, and this brought us closer in a way neither of us could have foreseen. There was a tension between us, a tension that I didn't want to dissipate, but that at the same time made me anxious about what might happen. Pretending to be distracted by my cell phone, I teased him, and although he tried to remain calm, he couldn't hide his agitation. The situation escalated, and I turned on the couch, bringing him even more tantalizingly close. There was no shame, just a mutual surrender to something that was beyond words. He didn't resist, and I welcomed the moment with a naturalness that only the love between us could justify. There was a connection between us, a connection that transcended the physical and became something deeper, something that I couldn't explain, but that I felt intensely. That afternoon unfolded in a series of gestures and reactions that culminated in an intimate and unexpected connection. I was like a child discovering a new toy, fascinated and curious. The relationship that followed was a mix of comfort and discovery, something that neither of us expected, but that happened with surprising spontaneity. There was a mix of emotions in me, a feeling that we were exploring something new, something that united us in a way that we had never experienced before. After that moment, my father surrendered to sleep, exhausted and satisfied. I knew that I had provided something incredible for him. We never spoke about what happened, but our routine changed in subtle ways. We started sharing moments in front of the TV, and a new form of complicity was established between us. Without words, just understanding and a new dimension of closeness that brought us even closer together. There was a connection between us that didn't need words, a connection that was felt, lived and shared in silence. Did you like this story? Leave a comment telling us what you thought, and, if you've ever experienced something similar, share it with us. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any new content. Here, we always bring life stories, reflections and real experiences, all with great sincerity. Thank you for watching until the end and for being part of this journey. See you in the next video.